Everybody out there in Dream Whiskies land, how you doing? Good evening. Welcome to another live broadcast. It is Wednesday the 13th of May and it's 7 p.m. here in the UK. Thank you for joining us, although I always know that this first part, while I'm talking to you, I'm actually talking to no one because no one's joined me just yet. But as you start to join me, welcome. We have another cracking evening lined up for you. Let's see, we've got a few of you turning up now. Let me tell you what we've got going on for you this evening. So, as is now a really popular feature of our show, we've got our Whiskey Geek of the Week quiz this evening, and I've got a slightly different one for you this evening, so we'll see how this goes. We have 2 cocktails of the week, got some really nice cocktails for you. We, of course, have our Mix With Me challenge as well. And just to remind you, in case you missed the post that I put out for the ingredients that you need for tonight's Mix With Me challenge are whiskey and a savory biscuit, you know, cracker type thing, some crispy bacon, a little bit of paprika, some chutney. I'm using a ginger and lemon chutney, but any kind of sort of fleshy fruit chutney is good. And then what have I missed out? Orange and an orange. That's what you're going to need for later on. We also have, coming up first, we will have the winners of last week's competitions, and of course we're going to have a little drink. So I'm going to say hello to a few of you in a second, but let's get a drink on the go. And actually I've got an interesting drink this week. I've got this, which might make some whiskey lovers turn in their grave. That's assuming they're dead. Otherwise you wouldn't be turning in your grave, but you might be turning in some kind of frustration. This is Glenmarnock, which is a sort of own brand release from Aldi. And this is a Speyside whiskey, and I thought I've got to try it out because it's won awards. It got a silver medal in the International Spirits Competition. It costs, you know, relatively little. I thought I had to try it out, and you know what? I've been trying it out, and it's pretty good. And this is the whiskey that we're going to use for our cocktails this evening. It's also the whiskey that I've got in my decanter, which seems to have a bow this evening. And it's the whiskey that I'm going to have a little toast with you guys with as well. So, tell me what you're drinking. Tell me what you've got on the go. Let's say hi to who's joining us. So, Barry, hi, how you doing? Paul, good to see you. Steve, good evening. Jeff, Gary, Jane, Bob, Simon, Kieran, Paul, Carl, Barry, 18 pounds, you're right? What's that you're saying? I was drinking Glenmarnock at the weekend. What do you think of it, Barry? I'm really impressed. I mean, like you said, especially for 18 pounds, really impressed with that. So anyway, cheers. Thank you for joining us. As you see, every show we do every week is getting brighter and brighter outside. I don't know if you can tell, but maybe you can see a reflection of actual daylight and sunshine in the mirror behind me. But cheers. Yeah, really impressed with this whiskey. Who else have we got with us? Steve, what are you saying? I've got the Isla version. It's not too bad. Similar to you, I had to try having heard all about the awards. Yeah, I think sometimes, you know, we get a little bit hung up with, you know, brand names and the importance of prestige whiskies, and we get a little bit too sort of snooty and we stop trying stuff like this. But actually, why not? Why not? And I got to say, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Cheryl Martin, my wife, saying, hi, Paul, hi. Cheryl. We know what's going to happen. We know she's going to somehow sabotage the broadcast this evening. We'll see what that's going to be because I've got absolutely no idea. Adrian, how are you doing? Good to see you. Nice. I've had Dira that was no better yet. For sure. Me too. Me too. Gary, what's going on? One of our local whiskies tonight. Red Bush. Red Bush. Is that a bourbon? I think something tells me Red Bush is bourbon. Tell me if I've got that wrong. Dave, just join you. How you doing? Hi, Graham. Thank you very much. Colin, hi, Paul. Only signed up to watch you instead of next day. Sounds good. Very good. Like to see that. Thank you, Colin. All right. So look, a couple of things. First of all, let's get our winners of competitions done and out of the way. So really, I'm really quite pleased to see this name come up. Just so that you know, we use random software to pick from all the correct entries into our competitions, and so I have no say in it. But this person has been really sort of stuck by Dream Whiskies right from the early stages, always there. I think you're online tonight. Hope you're online tonight. But the winner of last week's whiskey competition, which finished midnight last night, new one obviously already on the go, is Paul Slade. Paul, congratulations, really thrilled for you. Yeah, delighted. So congratulations, Paul, well done. And the winner of last week's spot prize giveaway, which is that sort of little prize where we do some questions at the end of the broadcast, and the prize for last week was this. It's this Glencairn double pack of glasses, of Glencairn whiskey glasses. And the winner of that is Michael Leslie. So Michael, congratulations on that. Paul, massive congratulations on winning the whiskey. This week's prize, for our spot prize at the end of this broadcast, is this book. This is the Malt Whiskey Yearbook 2020. So that's a rather nice book. If you're into your whiskies, it's a perfect one to have, so it's going to be good for you. Really pleased to see that. Let's see, are you on there? Paul, oh look, here he is. I think this comment has come before I've told you. Paul is drinking Talisker, but it's nearly an empty bottle. Well, you've just won another bottle, Paul, so congratulations. Carl, Bowmore tonight, that's pretty cool. I'll often buy a bottle of Samuel Joe's bourbon from Aldi. Haven't tried that one, Paul. Can't complain, it's only £12.50. Maybe we should be some kind of, I don't know, like that, bringing in our bargain whiskies and just recommending them to each other. Paul, is that wow, the wow, because you've just found out that you won? I hope so. Nice one, Paul. Well done, Paul. Paul, not bourbon. Oh, Bushmills. Oh, sorry, Bushmills. I got it, Gary. Loving the Bushmills myself, actually. Congrats. Kim McGowan. Kim has joined. Kim, if you're there, I know it's your birthday. Many happy returns. A big birthday for Kim. Congratulations on that. Barry, congrats to Michael as well. Loads of congratulations going on here. Paul saying problem solved. Absolutely. Matured in bourbon casks. Very nice. All right. We have a Whiskey Geek of the Week quiz, which is really taking shape now. So we've had 6 Whiskey Geek of the Weeks. And if you are aware, last week I put a page up on the website. So it's not just on our Facebook page, but also on our website. And if you go over to the Dream Whiskers website, dreamwhiskers.com, and you are one of the Whiskey Geeks of the Week, you will find yourself on there. So we have like a Whiskey Geek gallery now. So if you don't know, let me just explain how this works. I run a sort of little whiskey type quiz through this broadcast, and at the end of it we have a winner, and that person becomes our Whiskey Geek of the Week. This week I've got 12 general knowledge whiskey questions for you. You're going to have to be honest. Now, I tried this with you a few weeks ago and you were honest. You're going to have to score yourself. I'll give you the answers at the end of the broadcast. You're going to have to score yourself and then put your scores in. The winner is our Whiskey Geek of the Week. But if we have a tie, then I have a tie-break question, and that is based on the accuracy of your answer. So it's the best way for us to find that out. I'm going to do 3 questions before I get into our first cocktail of the evening, which, by the way, I know that my wife has an eye on, so just going to keep an eye on what goes on here with the regular disappearance of alcoholic beverage, etc. Here we go. So you will need a pen and paper, a pencil and paper, just to write down the questions and the answers. I'll just give you a moment to do that. What's this, Amanda? Amanda Bonnick, what are you saying? Cheers with a Dubliner honey whiskey. To my other half, Wayne, it's his birthday today. Well, congratulations to Wayne. Definitely congratulations to Wayne. I know that also I mentioned Kim, who I think is on and watching. So we have 2 birthdays today. I wonder if you're the same age. I know how old Kim is. I don't think, shall I share it, Kim? I'm not going to say anything, Kim, unless you put a comment there and say, yeah, tell everybody what a fantastic age I am. And then we'll find out whether Amanda's other half is similar age to you. Okay, all right, here we go. 3 questions before we get into the first cocktail. Question number 1, and this is actually going to be worth 3 points because there are 3 answers to this. Very simple, and all whiskey geeks should know this. What are the 3 basic ingredients of malt whiskey? There we go. What are the 3 basic ingredients of malt whiskey? While you're just writing those down, I'm going to have another little taste of my Glenmarnock Speyside. Really starting to sort of fall for that. I've got to try the Isla one as well. I'll let you know what I think when I've had a bit of a taste. Question number 2. And again, another whiskey geek type question. I want to know, how long must the spirit be stored before it can be called whiskey? In other words, how long, minimum age, must it spend in a cask before it can officially be called whiskey? 1 point for that. I'm looking for something in years, right? So how many years? Gary, congrats to Mike and Paul. Sheila Brady's joined. Hi, Sheila. How you doing? Are you drinking? Tell me if you're drinking and tell me what you're drinking. Question number 3 before we go on to the first cocktail. I want you to name, you've got a chance for 5 or 6 points here. And you see what I mean by 5 or 6 points, because there are officially 5, but potentially 6 answers to this. Here we go. I want you to name the whiskey regions in Scotland. What are the regions? There are officially 5, but a lot of people say there's a 6th one. So if you put the 6th one down as well, I'll give you a point for that. So those are questions 1 to 3. And while you're writing down your answers, those that are playing the game, those that want to get their picture up as our official Whiskey Geek of the Week, I think I'm going to put this over here because I'm a bit crowded. Actually, I'm going to put that down there for now. I'm going to get into my first cocktail of the evening. So our first whiskey cocktail of this evening is a cocktail that I'm calling a lockdown lifesaver. A lockdown lifesaver. And it's going to go into this fairly cool glass. Sheila Brady drinking water. Wow, knocking it out. Knocking the ball out of the park there, Sheila. Thank you very much for that. Can anyone do any better than Sheila Brady? Surely you're drinking something a little more. I mean, water, it keeps us alive. I get it. But still, this is a Dream Whiskies broadcast. I want to know what you're drinking. Check out the glass. It's a highball. This is a 10 to 12 ounce glass, but it's got a little, it's got some hips to it. Quite like this one. All right, so simple drink, but a really good combination of flavors. I'm going to take my shaker, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a shot of whiskey. Now, you know, we're using the Glenmarnock this week, and I'm going to put in 25 ml of the Glenmarnock. I'm using this Speyside one. What I would say, and I normally say, look, choose your own whiskey. Choose the one that you like the best and the one that you want to put into your drinks. But in actual fact, I would stay away from something peaty and Isla because it's not really going to go well with this combination of flavors. But you know, if you insist and you want to stick an Ardbeg in there, then knock yourself out. So another ingredient that I've used a number of times on our broadcast is Pessoa. This is a passion fruit liqueur, and it is really fruity. You find it in, for example, porn star martinis, which have become incredibly popular. So slightly less than the whiskey. I'm putting in 20 ml. So we've got 25 of our whiskey and 20 ml of the Pessoa. And then I want to bring out some vanilla. And vanilla goes particularly well with these sort of tropical, exotic type fruit flavors. And unfortunately, I see that this particular bottle has been sealed with some cling film, which is the first sign, dare I say, of my wife sabotaging what is going on. Thank you very much for that. I managed to get around that one pretty quickly. So we've had 25 of our whiskey, 20 of the Pessoa, and I'm going to go down a little bit, and we're going to go 15. So we're going 20, 25, and 15. Good, and that's our vanilla liqueur. And if you're going to buy a vanilla liqueur, I would definitely go for a decent quality one. Spend a little bit of extra money and you get massive punch of that vanilla flavor. I'm now going to put in a tiny bit of grenadine. Now, grenadine is a sugar syrup made from pomegranates. So you get quite a bit of color from this, but you get a lot of flavor. And if you said to me, what does grenadine taste of? I think I would say bubblegum. I think that's about the closest that I can find, but bubblegum. It tastes of bubblegum. And now we're going to add some pineapple juice. So we're not a million miles away from a drink that we did a little while ago, but actually quite different in character. So I want 100 ml of pineapple juice in there, which is 2 of these. There you go. That's good. And then we're going to get some ice. So take my shaker, add some ice, get this in, and we'll give this a good shake. Here we go. All right, so we've shaken that up. We have a really nice amount of froth. Look at that. Let's drop a little bit of the ice in there. Okay, now I'm going to get my strainer, and we're just going to get the rest of our drink. It's pretty good. Let's bring the froth right up to the top. And you can see that the drink is starting to settle out. And as it settles out, there's a sort of graduation of color as well. I'm going to take one of these. I wasn't actually going to garnish this, but I am going to garnish it now because I know someone potentially will have her eye on this. And she particularly likes these. I'm just going to drop one of those, and it's going to be at the bottom, which means she's going to have to work her way to the bottom of the drink to find that cocktail, or to find that cherry actually at the bottom of the cocktail. I am going to put a straw in this because it's the sort of drink that you want to drink through a straw. In other words, you might not want to get a nose full of the foam and the froth on the top. So I'm just going to put that down. I'm actually going to have a quick taste. Really fruity. Exotic, sort of kind of, I don't know, Caribbean holidays. And the vanilla really balances with the passion that you get from the Passoa. The whiskey just sort of pulls everything together. It's a really nice, sweet, fruity drink. This is our lockdown lifesaver. Let's just put it over there where it will be nice and safe, I am sure. Right, that was our cocktail number 1 for this evening. Let's open this up again. What we got here? Okay, let's do that. Anybody else talking to us? Who's else talking to us? Steve, still talking about the Isle of Glenmarnock. To me, similar to Lefroy Select. Interesting. Dave, sorry, a bit late. Got my Lagavulin Game of Thrones. Good man, good man. Cheryl, looks like you are pleased with yourself about putting the cling film over the top of the bottle, and a big happy birthday to Kim as well, who we know. Marika, the Balvenie Age 12. Is that what you're drinking tonight, Marika? Sounds good. What is this? That's Cheryl laughing. Simi, how are you doing? Hi, Simi, have you got your ingredients for our mix with me later on? Because I know you tried a couple of times ago, didn't you? Gary, drinking Alcantosh and American Oak. I like that whiskey, Gary. That's one of my favorites. Actually, I'm a big Alcantoshan fan. But yeah, pretty color, says Cheryl on that. Looks lush. That's not going to sit in the bar for very long. Yummy, yummy, definitely not. Kieran, well, it looks and sounds good. And a high pull from the man that we know as already, Richard Webster. All right, good job. Before we move into the next cocktail for our broadcast this evening, I have questions 4, 5, and 6 of our Whiskey Geek of the Week quiz. So get your pens and paper back again, and let's see how we are doing. Question 4. Really simple one, worth a point. What is the world's biggest selling whiskey brand? Okay, what is the world's biggest selling whiskey brand? I mean, you know, talking of famous whiskey brands, this is the one. And even if you can't jump to it immediately, when I tell you the answer at the end of this broadcast, you're going to think, of course it is. So what is the world's biggest selling whiskey brand? That was question number 4. Question number 5. I was going to say what's in my glass, but you know what's in my glass. Cheers. Okay, so we have what is the world's biggest selling whiskey brand. Now I'm asking you, what is the world's biggest selling malt whiskey brand? And that might give you a clue to the other one. So what is the biggest selling malt whiskey brand? Similar questions, but 2 very different whiskies. And question number 6, another one for you to get your teeth into and get a few points off of this. If we say that for question number 5, you know what the number 1 malt whiskey selling brand is, what are the other 4 top malt whiskey brands in the top 5? So I asked you what the number 1 was. Now, what are the other 4? So have a crack. Can you pick out the other 4? Who knows? Looks like we have a little mouse in the house because the drink's gone. What's this? Cheryl's put, that looks like, I'm not sure, Cinderella? I think something from Cinderella. Something like that. Anyway, yeah, poof, it's gone. The drink is gone. And we'll never know. Actually, I guess there will be a comment coming up at some point, you know, in terms of opinion, what she thinks of it, how incredibly skilled I am, and hold on a second. That's been sent back. Now, I'm now thinking that that's not a particular popular drink with my wife. I don't know. I mean, I can only guess. Obviously, she put it there, but she's gone now. You know, like Scarlet Pimpernel, she's just gone, out of sight. Let's wait for some kind of comment. Her review had gone crappy. Right, I'm going to have a taste of this. If she's not going to like it, I'm going to have another taste. I tell you what, though, the maraschino cherry is gone. Managed to get that out for sure. Okie dokie, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on, shall we, to our cocktail number 2. And this cocktail is it's a whiskey. Look, it's a whiskey-based version of an espresso martini. I actually calling it a coconut espresso. So, okay, I've just been caught. Someone sabotaged the name of the drink. I can't show you what it is, but nevertheless, just getting myself back together again. I'm calling this a coconut espresso. So it's like an espresso martini. It's made with whiskey, but I've pulled the flavors together from other areas. Wow, I really struggled to get my composure there. Nothing worse, is there, than off-screen jokes, which you don't know what's going on. So I apologize for that. But this is what we're going to do. So I guess you all know what an espresso martini is. An espresso martini is vodka with coffee liqueur, normally Kahlua, and then a shot of espresso, all shaken up together into a martini-style glass, and then 3 coffee beans on the surface. This is sort of kind of like that, but just sort of roll with me and I'll show you how we make this. And for whiskey lovers, this is definitely the best way to go. So we're going to start again with our shaker, and we're going to start with our whiskey. So no vodka in this one. This is going to be whiskey, and I'm going to put in 35 mils. So we want, there we go, and then a tiny drop more of our Speyside Glenmarnock. Okay, all good. Now the next thing is that if I was making an espresso martini, I'd be jumping straight for the Kahlua, which is a Mexican coffee liqueur. I'm actually going for a Mexican coffee liqueur, but this one is tequila based. So this is a coffee flavored tequila, which is fantastic actually. It's Mis Amigos. I know some of you like to see the bottle. I don't know if you can get the light on there. Maybe here, can you see? Struggling. It says Mis Amigos. So it's a really nice coffee flavored tequila. And I'm going to put 25 ml of coffee flavored tequila in there. Good. And then I'm going to add a little bit of coconut flavor to this. And the coconut is going to come from some Malibu. Malibu is, for those of you who don't know, is a rum-based liqueur spirit. And I'm not even going to measure this out, but I'm going to tell you I'm going to put in 10 ml of the Malibu. I don't want it sort of overwhelming the drink. There we go. There's 10 ml, which is just as well because it's about 10 ml that I had left in the bottle. And then finally, what I want in here is 25 ml of espresso coffee. Now you can put this in hot because the idea is that if it goes in hot, by the time you chuck a load of ice in there and shake it real quick, you've cooled it straight back down. But this is something I made a little bit earlier. It's already cool, so I'm good with that. And it's going to be a shot. So we've got 25 ml of some nice, strong espresso coffee. All right, now before I actually make this, I'm just going to put it to the side. I also want to garnish our glass. And I'm going to garnish the glass with some desiccated coconut. So I've got a bowl here with some desiccated coconut. Can you see? There we go. So I'm not going to do anything, particularly fancy. What I am going to do is I'm just going to put some desiccated coconut rim on the edge of the glass. So I'm going to take the glass. I've just got a little piece of lime here, and I'm going to run that around the edge like so. That's good. Get that nice and wet, and then just pop that in there, and we'll get a few little bits of our desiccated coconut to stick around the top of the glass, like so. So the glass is now ready for our drinks. Let's get the glass in place, move the coconut out of the way, and come back. So we have in here our whiskey, our coffee flavored tequila, we have a little bit of Malibu, we got a shot of espresso. I'm now going to take some ice. I'm going to add ice to the glass, and we're going to give this a really good shake, because the key to this is to shake it fast and well. So here we go. Okay, open that up nice and quickly. Get our strainer, and let's strain into the glass. And there we go. We want to get all of that sort of shaken foam off of that. And a bit like the first drink as well, you're going to see this separate and settle. So the foam will come to the top. The bottom half of it will start to sort of darken off, a little bit like a Guinness really in that sense. So that will go coffee colour. And as the foam settles on the top, what we'll end up with is like a sort of foam bed on which we can put our garnish. And the garnish being some coffee beans, which I'm going to jump to right now. So just let me get those out of the way. So you can see that settling really nicely. I'm now going to take the coffee beans and I'll take my spoon and we'll take 2 coffee beans there and 2 coffee beans on that side, and they sit on the top, and there is our coconut espresso. Cheers. Let's have a taste. Really strong. You got the espresso coffee coming through with a really big punch. It's actually not particularly sweet at all. Loads of coffee. The whiskey blends really nicely. The coconut actually is the most subtle hint in this drink. And that subtlety is what makes this a sort of nuanced cocktail for sure. So I guess at some point, she's probably going to give this one a little try as well. I don't know. It's really difficult to sort of focus on what she's going to do at any given point. Let's see what you guys are saying to me in the meantime before we move into the next stage of our broadcast. Lots of ha-ha-has. Cheryl saying, not my finest. Really, thank you very much. Simi, on the other hand, saying that sounds good. Coconut espresso, what? Says Cheryl, but she wrote something naughty on the iPad, so I'm not going to answer that. Everyone else saying delicious. Might have to start the broadcast after 9 p.m. watershed in the future, then you can tell it, says Paul. Oh my goodness. John Matthews has joined. This is good. It's all becoming a bit of a family affair. John, good to see you. I don't know if you know how to comment, but say hello if you do and tell us what you're drinking. David Rose, question 1. What are the 3 ingredients in whiskey? Oh, you're replying to already, Richard. Okay, thanks, David. Simon, do tell us, is that a new liqueur on the back bar? Have you got a new liqueur on the shelf, Paul? What's happened now? What's happened? Have we got anything? Am I getting towed? No, we're good. No, this is a wind-up because last week she wound me. Then it's gone. It was gone and back, and it's back again. Okay, so we don't know. Not sweet enough for me. Okay, but I knew that. I knew that this one wouldn't be for Cheryl. She prefers the sweeter ones, and this one actually is a very sort of powerful coffee one. So 2 really cool whiskey cocktails. The third one that we got coming up shortly is our Mix With Me cocktail challenge. And we've had sort of different response to this. Some weeks quite a few of you join in, some weeks not so. I think it's probably as much as anything to do with the availability of ingredients. This week, I actually put a post out on the Facebook page and I said, look, have you got any ideas? Rather than me tell you what to get, why don't you tell me what you want me to mix? And I had quite a lot of people come in with suggestions. Bruce Oran, who isn't with us tonight by the look of it, I don't think. So, but Bruce came in with, I would say, about 40 different suggestions. So thank you to everyone that suggested different things. Bruce went right over the top. In the end, I picked out a few of the weird ones. So this is what we're going to use in a few minutes for our Mix With Me cocktail. You're going to have some kind of chutney. I'm using a ginger and lemon chutney. But you can go with whatever you want, mango, apricot, doesn't matter what it is, you can just go with it. Then, of course, you need some whiskey, an orange, some paprika, and then crispy bacon, and a sort of savoury cracker, savoury biscuit, that sort of thing. So if you don't have all of that, don't worry about it, just get what you can, or just get as close as you can. Or if you don't want to, just, you know what, kick back and watch. You can watch me do it, and you can maybe try it later on. But these are all the sorts of things that maybe you've got hanging around in your home, and at times like this when it's less easy to get out, then who knows what you can make with what you've got in your cupboards. All right, what else? Anybody else talking to me? Bruce is here. Here he is. Just says hello. Just mention him, and like as if by magic, just turns up. All right, we have question 7, 8, 9 of our Whiskey Geek of the Week quiz. I hope that many of you are playing. And with a bit of luck, we'll have another new face on our Whiskey Geek of the Week gallery this week. Question 7, here we go. I want to know how many bottles of whiskey are exported from Scotland every second. Wow. How many bottles of whiskey are exported from Scotland every second? And I've got a multiple choice for you here. So is it A, 724 bottles of whiskey a second? Is it B, 150 bottles of whiskey a second? Or is it C, 34 bottles of whiskey a second? So that was question 7. How many bottles of whiskey are exported from Scotland every single second? That's 24/7, by the way. Some high Bruces there, a couple of high Bruces. Nice to sort of turn up and be loved. Some love going out to Bruce. Question 8. What is the angel's share? So we talk about the angel's share when we talk about, the production of whiskey. It's something that every whiskey maker has to take into account. What is the angel's share? You've got to come up with your own description. Tell me what it is. There's a point for this if you get it right. And if you don't get it right, we still love you. Question 9. What is the minimum alcoholic volume whiskey has to be in order to officially be labeled as a Scotch? Okay, so the percentage alcohol. You see different products, different spirits with different percentages. Liqueurs, around sort of 17, 18, 22, 24. Spirits starting in the mid-30s and going up. Cask strength up. But what is the minimum that a whiskey has to be in order to be legally and officially called a Scotch? Okay, that is now question 9 done. So we've had 9 of our 12 questions from our Whiskey Geek of the Week challenge. We are now going to go into our Mix With Me cocktail. Just out of interest, if you are doing this, if anyone is doing it, let me know. Let me know if you're doing it. I'd just like to know. And of course, if you are doing it, make sure you take a photograph of yourself, or rather of your cocktail, and send it in. Just send it in, make sure. Simon, what's this? Is the guy in the corner mixing along with you? Well, Simon, I think you might know the answer to that. Bruce, lots of love being shown by Bruce. Sheila Brady, he's shy, won't show his face. Yeah, what, a guy in the corner? Yeah, we know how shy he is. Not showing his face. But the problem is, right, it's one thing that him sitting there while I'm doing this broadcast, but then, 24/7 for the next 7 days until the next broadcast is slightly uncomfortable, I think. All right, I'm going to call this drink a spicy Speyside breakfast. It is a spicy Speyside breakfast. And this is how we are going to make it. So it's another shaken cocktail. We're going to get our shaker out. And we're going to start with our chutney. So as I said, I'm using a lemon and ginger chutney. This is not one that we bought. This is one that we made, and goes back years to, well, it just goes back to December, actually. We made this around about Christmas. It's really spicy, wonderful and sweet. It's got a lovely gingerness coming through it, and the lemon for me just gives it, I mean, in a way, this is like a drink on its own, except it's a chutney. What we are going to do is take 2 heaped spoons of this. This is not an exact measurement. Whatever your chutney is, whatever you're using, and I guess some of you might even just be using jam rather than chutney, that's fine as well. But I sort of wanted the spiciness. So 2 heaped spoons of your chutney. So that's the first thing. Second thing is this, orange juice. Now you can use orange juice if you've got it in a carton, you've got it sitting in your fridge, wherever, that's absolutely fine. I like to squeeze it fresh out of an orange. I'm actually going to take the juice of this whole orange. But first, I just want a little bit of it. So I've cut it in half down here. Let me just take out a couple of pips. So I cut it in half, and I'm just going to squeeze some of that juice out first. I just want a little bit in there. Just stop there for the moment, because I want to use that just to mix in with my chutney. I need to sort of loosen this up a bit. I could just chuck in a load of ice and all the other ingredients and hope for the best and hope that the whole thing's smoothed out. In reality, it's much better to do this. It's a bit like, I don't know, if you're making a roux or something when you're cooking in a soup or for a sauce, and you slowly thicken it up, and then you break it down gently and get it thinner and thinner. So now that is looking better. That's looking much better. So I'm going to get the rest of the orange juice out as well. So I'm going to squeeze pretty much the whole of this orange. And I have to say, like I said, it's okay if you are using orange juice that's already in a carton. That's absolutely fine. But if you've got an orange there and you squeeze it fresh, the difference is stark, actually. I mean, it's really remarkable. Makes a huge difference to the quality of the drink as well. So there we go. That's good. I've got all of the juice of an orange. And so I'm not giving you a measurement. I'm just saying the juice of an orange and as much as you can get out of it as well. So give that a little bit of a stir as well. So I'm just bringing together, obviously, my chutney and the orange juice. Very pleased with that. I'm going to take that out. Next thing that I'm going to add is the whiskey. And I want 50 ml of our whiskey. So again, this is my Speyside Glenmarnock whiskey. 50 ml. There we go. That's good. And then a little bit of spice. So I said, or it was recommended to me, somebody said, I want you to use paprika. Paprika, actually, I like. I think it's good. I've used it in all sorts of cocktails. I put it in Bloody Marys all the time. But just a little bit in here. Just a dusting. So I'm just going to tap that out. Okay. That's good. A little bit. And now I'm ready to shake this. But before I shake this, I want to get my vessel together. Now, I've called this a spicy Speyside breakfast, and because of that, I'm going to put it into this sort of breakfast coffee cup, breakfast tea mug, and it will sit beautifully in this because the experience of drinking this is going to be more than just knocking back a drink. By the way, how are you getting on? Are you with me? Who is with me on this? Let's see who's talking. Cheryl, I'm not even sure what you've put there. Cheryl replying to herself. Bruce, I'll be making one for sure. Just got the bacon done in the microwave oven. Excellent. Janie's saying the guy in the corner is so handsome, he doesn't show himself in case the women mob him. All right, getting that. I wonder who wrote that. Was that possibly the guy in the corner who said that about himself? David, it's World Whisky Day, Saturday the 16th. Just saying. I'm pleased you did. Bruce, do you ever use a blender for your drinks? Yes. Bruce, I use a blender for a lot of drinks, but I don't do it in these broadcasts. The main reason is once you switch the blender on, that's all you can hear. So yes. A spicy what now? Yes, a spicy Speyside breakfast. Let me have a taste. Good. So I'm going to shake this drink and pop it in here, and then we're going to use the last two ingredients to do a sort of kind of interactive garnish, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So start by getting some ice. And I'm actually going to put some ice also into our cup because I'm going to strain it from this ice over new ice. So we've got ice in here, obviously. Let's give this a good shake. Okay, feeling good about that. That's looking good. Now, I actually don't want the pieces from the chutney in this. So I'm going to double strain it. I'm going to strain it first like this and then through my fine strainer. Bartenders, we all call these fine strainers. Listen, it's a tea strainer, essentially. It's a posh tea strainer. That's fine. So there we go. That's looking good. Smelling great, actually. Just going to give that a tap to help that through. Pretty much there, we've got everything in there. All right, so I'm happy to let that sit there for a second. But sometimes the garnish is just a little bit of flourish at the end. Other times a garnish on a cocktail, for example, in a classic martini cocktail, is absolutely essential and critical to the experience of the drink. I mean, let's face it, a martini without either a twist of lemon or an olive just isn't really a martini. And the same for this drink. Now, two more ingredients. One of them was a savory cracker. So I got these little sort of salt and black pepper crackers. I got two of them, actually. and I'm just going to put those here. And then the other ingredient, which actually came up by 3 people mentioned this, was crispy bacon. So we have some crispy bacon. Here are my little shards of crispy bacon in my crispy bacon wrap. So I'm just going to put that there for a second as well. I'm going to break down these biscuits. I don't want them whole. I want the constituents and the flavor, but we need them in small parts. So I'm just going to break these down. Which is quite easily done, obviously, and I'm going to turn them into a little sort of dust, I reckon. Just break them down into small pieces, keeping the unmistakable flavor of a savory cracker, but making it more usable in terms of the experience of this drink. There we go. Now we're going, actually, in terms of our approach here, this is a little bit like entering a cocktail competition. So when you enter cocktail competitions, as I did many years ago, a lot of my colleagues have created some of the most famous cocktails that are around today as well. You really try to come up with something that is more of an experience and not just simply a drink that goes into a glass you can drink. So the whole point of this is the experience. Now what I've done is I've broken this down into that sort of fine particles. I'm just going to transfer them with my spoon into here, so you can see it's all very powdery now. And what I want to do is I want to bring the flavors together. And I think when a number of you said to me, okay, what we'd like you to do is use bacon in a cocktail, use a biscuit in a cocktail, use a cracker in a cocktail, and the rest of it. Well, if I just sort of try to put them in a cup, it wouldn't work very well. If I try to shake them, it's not going to work very well. If I actually put them in a blender, really, it's just not going to work very well. But there are some great flavors here that go well together. And this is how you drink / eat your spicy Speyside breakfast cocktail, which hopefully a number of you have made. Now, you take the bacon. You dip the bacon in the drink. You dip the bacon then into our biscuit. You then take your bit of bacon dipped in biscuit, you put that in your mouth, give it a little crunch, take a sip, and that way you bring all the flavors and the textures together in one overwhelming experience. Here we go. Honestly, I tell you this, if I was still 25 years younger and I was still entering cocktail competitions, I would definitely take this as an idea and run with it. I'd probably develop it a little bit more and work on the idea better, but I just love the whole ritual of that and that and this with fantastic. Did any of you actually do it? Simon saying, have you tried Jaffa cakes and gin? Oh, wow, Simon. Oh, God. Monday seems like such a long time ago. I said to Simon that I'd do something about Jaffa cakes and gin. Gonna have to come back to that one. We call that a cliffhanger, shall we? What is the pick thing on the rum chatter? What are you saying? Oh, this. This is a bow. It's a pink bow. It actually came on the bottle. Dave, now drinking Guinness with a Dalwhinnie 15. Dave, you sound like you're having a party on your own there. It sounds pretty cool. I've eaten and really enjoyed whiskey flavoured bacon, but never had bacon in whiskey until now. Let me know how you get on, Paul. This really isn't doing anything for me right now. Can we rewind back to last week's cocktail? That's my wife. Of course, last week's cocktail, she downed rapidly, and then I didn't see her until the next morning. Bruce. A Royal Crown Black Old Fashioned for me with rhubarb and peach bitters. Yeah, I like the rhubarb bitters in particular. I prefer raw bacon to crispy bacon. Barry, raw as in walking around as a pig, is that what you mean? Jane, are you going to try that one, Cheryl? Paul, we'll have to try that on Sunday morning. Simi, I did with half the ingredients, no bacon or biscuits, just the liquid. Okay, but what did you think? And Simi, so what did you put in? What kind of chutney did you put in it? And did it work? Did you like it? Let us know. All right, so we have our 3 cocktails. I got a feeling that Cheryl is not coming out for this one. She's already said it's not doing that, so I don't think I'm going to see her again on this. But those are our 3 cocktails for the night. Remember, if you did make it, and Simi, this includes you, you obviously made something. If you made it, please take a photograph of your drink and send it to me on Messenger. So use the Messenger app as part of the Dream Whiskies Facebook page and send it to me, because I'll pop them up there. We didn't get too many pictures the last couple of weeks, so I had to sort of group them together. But get your Mix It With Me pictures over. All right, where are we? We're getting towards the end of our Geek of the Week competition as well. Who is going to be that geek this week, I wonder? So we have had 9 questions with a variety of potential answers, with a variety of points. I am trusting you, which they say, don't trust a whole load of people who drink whiskey while they're drinking whiskey. It seems like a ridiculous thing to do, but the good thing is I'm drinking whiskey too. So I trust you, and I'm trusting you to be honest with your scores. We have 3 more questions before we potentially find out who this week is our 7th Whiskey Geek of the Week. Okay, question number 10. What is the official definition of a single malt whiskey? Okay, so this is a multiple choice. I'm going to give you 3 definitions. What is the official definition of a single malt whiskey? Is it A whiskey entirely produced from malt in only one distillery? Is it B, a whiskey entirely produced from malt from a single batch in one distillery? Or is it C, a whiskey entirely produced from malt from a single barrel in a single distillery? Pick A, B, or C. Which is the official definition? Question 11. So we talk about malted barley. But malting is a process. But what is it? What is malting? That's it. That's the question. You get anywhere near what I say, you can have a point for that one. And question 12. I like question 12. Actually, I like them all. But I like question 12. Lubka, I will do the same. Replying to Simi. Barry, no, kill it first. Okay. Paul, sorry, Paul, no photo tonight. It's gone already. Okay. Paul, it's either gone or you didn't make it. But I don't mind if you didn't make it, because I actually thought when I wrote out all those ingredients that, yeah, who's going to have everything apart from me? Bruce, what have you said? I use peach preserves and a herbal cracker. That sounds cool to me. And Sue say, actually very nice. Good. Really pleased to hear that. Just send me those photographs. Here we go. Question 12, the last one of our Whiskey Geek of the Week competition. I would like to know, what type of barrel is between 225 and 250 litres in size? This is another multiple choice, okay? So what type of barrel? Barrels have different names. But which one is somewhere between 225 and 250 litres in size? Is it A hogshead? Is it B, a butt? Have you got a 250 litre butt? Or C, is it a quarter cask? Or D, is it a port pipe? Okay, so you have to pick from 4 there. So between 225 and 250 litres in size is A, a hogshead, B, a butt, C, a quarter cask, or D, a port pipe. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of those 12 questions for our Whiskey Geek of the Week. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the answers. I'm going to tell you how many points are available. And I need you to be honest. Tell me what you got. If you get the most, you are our Whiskey Geek of the Week. If you do not get the most, but you are tied with somebody else, I have a tie break question. Anyone else talking to me? Lubka, I will have some problems to get a chutney. We're in Slovakia. I've had no Imperium in India in the past, so Indian products are not very common here. I guess I see what you're thinking. I said chutney, and you're thinking, so it doesn't specifically have to be an Indian spicy chutney, but not a problem. You know, if you want to use a preserve or a jam, that's absolutely fine, Lubka. All right, here we go. Here come your answers for our Whiskey Geek of the Week quiz. Question number 1, which is worth 3 points. In other words, a point for each answer I said to you. What are the basic ingredients of malt whiskey? They are malted barley, yeast, and water. So give yourself a point for any one of those that you got. You got all 3, you get 3 points. Question number 2. For how long must spirit be stored, in other words, aged in a barrel, before it can be called whiskey? The answer is 3 years. Minimum of 3 years before it can be called whiskey. 1 point if you got that right. Question number 3. I said name the whiskey regions in Scotland. So there is a point for each one. And you might get 5, but you could get 6, and I'll explain why in a second. The whiskey regions are this. Highlands, point for that if you got it. Speyside, Lowlands, Campbelltown, Islay. Okay, 5. A point for each one of those that you got right. However, a number of people believe that the other islands represent another region of Scotland. And I will give you an extra point if you said islands. So if you said Highlands, Speyside, Lowlands, Campbelltown, Islay, and Islands, you get 6. Otherwise, you get 5, or you just get a point for everyone that you got right. Okay, question number 4 was, what is the biggest selling whiskey brand on the planet? The answer is Johnny Walker, which actually I guess now makes sense to you all, right? Johnny Walker, it's everywhere. I reckon you can get lost in the Amazonian rainforest and you will still find someone with a bottle of Johnny Walker Black or Red. Question 5, I said similarly, what is the world's best-selling malt whiskey brand? Okay, so obviously Johnny Walker are blended whiskies, but the best-selling malt whiskey brand is Glenfiddich. 1 point if you got that. By the way, Johnny Walker, 1 point if you got that. Question number 6, I said, okay, so if Glenfiddich is number 1, what are the rest of the top 5 malt whiskey brands? You get a point for each, a potential 4 points up for grabs here. So the other 4 in the top 5 in I believe the right order are Glenlivet, Macallan, Singleton, which might actually surprise a lot of you, and Glenmorangie. So if you've got Glenlivet, Macallan, Singleton, and Glenmorangie, it doesn't have to be in the right order. You get a point for each, that'd be worth 4 points. Question number 7. I said, how many bottles of whiskey are exported from Scotland every single second? The answer is B, which was 150 bottles a second. Wow. Honestly, 150 bottles a second. Kim is saying, good evening. Wow. Kim, have you only just joined us? I think you joined us right back at the beginning. But Kim, how you doing? Happy birthday to you. Congratulations today. Where are we now? Okay, question number 8. I said, what is, by the way, 1 point for question number 7. Question number 8, also worth 1 point. What is the angel's share? I don't mind how you describe it as long as you mean the same as me. So the angel's share is the amount of evaporation that happens in a barrel each year that it's lying in the warehouse. And that evaporation is somewhere between 2 and 4% of the barrel evaporates. So if you think that every single year that barrel is lying in there, you lose 2 to 4% of what you had at the beginning of that year, then you'll see that when you lose 2% of what was there every single year, you start to understand why a 50-year-old and a 60-year-old and a 72-year-old whiskey costs so much money, because they have to age it for so long before they can sell it, and then by the time they do sell it, there's almost nothing left in the barrel anyway. Angel's share, 1 point for that. Question 9, what is the minimum alcoholic volume whiskey has to be in order to be officially labelled as Scotch? Easy one this, worth 1 point, 40%. 40%, we know that, right? 40%. Good job, I wonder how you're doing. Question number 10, also worth just 1 point. What's the official definition of a single malt whiskey? I'm not going to read all 3 of them to you. The answer was A. In other words, it's a whiskey entirely produced from malt in one distillery. It's A. If it's from a single batch, it would have a different name. If it's from a single barrel, it has a different name, hence single barrel whiskey, single cask whiskey, all that sort of thing. So a single malt is not from necessarily the same batch, but it's just from entirely from 100% malt, but from a single distillery. 1 point if you got that. Question 11, what is malting? This is really simple. I don't care how you said it, but essentially, if what you do is you take the grain, the barley, you soak it, you then spread it across concrete floor. It's often sort of flipped and turned, and the idea is that it will help the grain to germinate. And when the grain germinates, they then dry it and stop it because of the chemical change that takes place in the grain that then allows you to use the sugars in that to make whiskey. That then goes from being barley to malted barley. So it's that process of soaking and germinating the grain. Okay, that was 1 point. And finally, for 1 point, the last question, what type of barrel is between 225 and 250 litres in size? The answer, and I gave you 4 choices, the answer was A, it's a hogshead. It's a hogshead. A butt is much bigger, a quarter cask is much smaller, and a port pipe is absolutely massive, about 650 litres or something like that. That would have been, if you got every question right, 22 points. So I need a score from you out of 22. If you, be honest, don't cheat, because you're only cheating yourself. If you are the best score out front on your own, you are our Whiskey Geek of the Week. Put your scores in the comments for us, please. If you are tied with somebody else, then you're going to go into a tiebreaker. Barry's saying missed 2 points. So you're saying that you got 20. Cheryl's saying I got 22, but Google help me. Does that make me a cheat of the week? Yeah, cheat of the week for sure. Kaz got 20. Paul got 24 out of 25. Paul, I don't know how you got 24. I'm pretty sure that I was only giving away 22 points. Bob, 15, Paul Slade, 11, David Rose. See, 11 and 15, you know, those are things that I think, right, okay, there's been no sort of cheating like my wife involved. Once you start getting 24 points out of 22, you got to question that. Dave, 17, Carl, 15, Marika, 8. Listen, everyone, thank you very much for playing. Paul, do you want to have a re-look at what you got? Because I'm thinking that, let me just check myself here. So what did I give you there? So 3, 4, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It was definitely out of 22. Paul, re-look at your score. At the moment, it looks like Kaz and Barry are on 20, so you guys will go into a tie break. Paul, you might be in that tie. No, David Rose as well. So Kaz, Barry, David Rose. Oh, Paul's got 21. That kills you all. Oh no, already Richard Webster. He's on 21 as well. Okay, we got 221. So we do have a tie break, but I only counted my lost points. Okay, that's fair enough. That's cool. Right, so at the moment, already Richard and Paul are in a tiebreak. All right, here we go. Let's give you a tiebreak question. 2 of you in the tiebreak. Who is going to be our 7th, lucky number 7, Whiskey Geek of the Week? Tiebreak question. Here we go. In 2017, Scotch whisky exports were about 20% of all UK food and drink exports. To the nearest £1 million, what was the value of whiskey exports in 2017? So what was the value of Scotch whisky exports to the nearest £1 million in 2017? There's no race on this, just the pair of you come up with a number, put your answers in the comments box, and the closest one is our Whiskey Geek of the Week. What's that? How I started after you gave the answers. Got them all right, says Bruce. Nice one, Bruce. Dispute on number of bottles exported. David, you're like my favorite. Every week you find a dispute. Well, What was that? Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'll happily see what you've got to say on the number of bottles exported, David, but I'm going to sort of stick with my answer because everyone was subject to the same thing. I read 38, replying to David. David shouldn't have told you that question. Oh, I see. Okay, I don't know what's going on in the background. Right, so here we go. We need your answers. So it's already Richard. 4. What's 4? Is that it? 4 million? Is that what you're saying? And who was the other one in? I've forgotten who the other person. And Paul. So we've got already Richard and Paul. We need your guesses. So to the nearest £1 million, what was the value of Scotch whisky exports in 2017? To nearest million. Okay, so while we're waiting for that, let me just tell you, we've got obviously our members quiz coming up in a second. That doesn't happen here. I just give you the questions, then you go onto the site and do that. If you're not a member, you know what to do. Go to the Dream Whisky site and sign up. I've also put another link in the description, and it's really, listen, if you love the whole cocktail thing and the cocktail video thing, I have a separate Patreon page where I've just set it up, but I've set it up because there's a lot of demand for a lot of the cocktail videos that I do, and I'm putting out exclusive content, and there's also one of my cocktail courses is on there. And if you're interested and you want to see more of this sort of stuff, plus there's all sorts of cool benefits that you get, click on the link and go and have a look at my Patreon page. And it's brand new. There's no one signed up. I virtually launched it this afternoon. So I'm not actually doing an official launch on it until some point next week. But I just put the link in there. So if you like the whole mixology thing, you want to get sort of deeper into that in terms of accessing some of the stuff that I do, go and check that out. All right, have we got your answers? Right, so Richard Webster saying, I thought it was billion. Right, so you're saying 4 billion, fair enough. Carl is saying 270 million. I can't remember. Oh, Paul, here we are, 500 million. So it's out of Paul at 500 million and already Richard at 4 to 4.5 billion. Well, I can tell you, according to what I managed to pull up, in 2017, we actually exported 4.359 billion, which means that our Whiskey Geek of the Week this week is already Richard Webster, who we know has a different name, but I can't remember whether you like us to share your other name, so we're going to call you already Richard. So congratulations on that. Last thing to do with you guys is to give you the 4 questions for our VIP spot prize. And this week's VIP spot prize is this Malt Whisky Yearbook, just showing you there. Malt Whisky Yearbook 2020. Remember, there's a link in the description. You just go over to the website and you enter your answers in there. Obviously, you have to be a member, otherwise you can't access that page. And you know what to do. If you can't access the page, just sign up and become a member. So 4 questions, really quickly going to run through those for you, but you find them over on the website. Question number 1 was, what juice did I use in the first cocktail, the Lockdown Lifesaver? What juice was that? Question 2 was, what liqueur did the coffee tequila take the place of from an espresso martini? So I mentioned that I was using coffee tequila instead of something else. What was that something else? Question number 3, what is the spirit base of Malibu? I told you that as well. And finally, mentioned it at least 30 times, I think. What was the name of our Mix With Me cocktail this evening? So if you are one of our members and you're going to do that, you know how to do it. Click on the link, go over to the site, pick from your multiple choice and enter into that, and we'll find out who the winner is for that next week. Paul, I will be in touch with you tomorrow to sort out your prize for winning last week's whiskey competition. Let's have a look at the last few comments that we got here. Nice one, nice one. Congrats already. Congrats already. Well done. Well done on your win, Paul. Excellent job there. Everyone's doing brilliantly. Look, fantastic. Now, just very quickly, shout out. So, I'm loving this. So, already, what I need from you is, as soon as you can, is a picture of you with a glass of your favorite whiskey or a bottle of your favorite whiskey in your hand so that I can put you up pretty quickly on to our Rogues Gallery, our Geek of the Week gallery. So if you can get that across to me, within minutes, that would be brilliant. Within 10 minutes, we can live with that. But if you can get that, that would be fantastic. Send it to me either by email, or you can messenger it to me as well. Any of you who took photographs of your Mix With Me cocktails, please, again, you can send it by email if you want, or send them to me by messenger. That would be great. We will have another show coming up for you, same time next week, 7 o'clock UK time. Last few questions. Do I have to send a new picture? Yeah, I want to see a new picture of you. I don't want to see the same picture. We want to see that you move. That's how we do it. Math didn't do me proud again, says Paul. No, see, Paul, you're a whiskey geek. You're not a maths geek. Paul Slade, big smiles. Bob, thanks for the T-shirt. Have you just joined us, Bob? Bob, you're up on our website as well, and you're welcome for the T-shirt. Bob won our spot prize giveaway a few weeks ago. Took a while to get that T-shirt to him, unfortunately, but he got there. And cheers, Paul. Catch you next week. So, from me, as ever, stay well, keep safe, look after yourself. Put this in the diary from next week, and I look forward to seeing you all then when we will have yet another Geek of the Week and Mix With Me cocktail. Be safe, look after yourself.